What's up, everybody? It's your boy SCraftBlendz back again with another barber tutorial, and today we're going to do a faded mohawk on my dude here. And we start out first by picking out the hair. Once the hair is picked out, nice and fluffy, then we're gonna go ahead and come in and freehand this with the Wall Senior with the fade blade. The reason I like to use a fade blade versus a taper blade, I feel like it just gives it a smoother cut whenever you're shaping afros and things like that. Once we get that down to the desired length and get it as clean as we want, then we'll go ahead and move in to the fade portion of the haircut. And pay attention to the shape as you're shaping it. Obviously you want the length to be nice all the way around, but whenever you're getting closer to the sides, make sure you shape it up into that mohawk look, right? So now that we've got pretty much our desired length on top and in the back, we're going to go ahead and take a number 2 in the parietal ridge area and working our way down towards the back of that mohawk, just kind of fading into the mohawk off of the parietal ridge and off of the back there to get that nice foundation that we can fade into. So now I'm coming in with the JRL 2020T trimmers, which I'm loving at this point, and I'll do a review soon. I just wanted to work with them for a little while. And I'm going to go ahead and create our first guideline. And I'm creating a soft guideline, meaning that I'm not flipping my trimmers over, punching that line in, making it more difficult to get out later. So we're just going to go ahead and do a soft guideline and shave that out. And then I always like to come in and just clean up the neck area and kind of curve over the ear so I can kind of get a better picture of what this blend is going to look like as we start fading this mohawk up. Now I'm calling it a faded mohawk. Some people call it so many different things, and I guess it really doesn't matter what the name is. You get the idea. So now we're going to go ahead and shave almost up to our guideline. I like to stay probably 1/4 of an inch below that guideline and just kind of flick up once I get closer to it. Now we're going to set our second guideline with no guard, blade all the way open, and I'm going to stretch this one out today. So I want to go ahead and create a wider second guideline. So towards the front, you see it's about 1 inch, 1.5 inches, and then I start making it a little more compressed towards the back, just because I know I don't want that fade to end up being on the back of his head. So as I get closer to the back, I start just making that a little bit smaller. Once we do that, then we just close the blade halfway, work our way halfway up, and then we close the blade all the way, flicking at that bottom line to take that out. I'll come back in with the trimmer a little bit later and just touch up any little lines that I see on that bottom section. So now I'm coming in with the number 1 guard all the way open and just kind of being easy, flicking into it. I do want to stretch this out, and I'm going to make it a lot tighter here in just a little bit, but I just want to see what we're working with first before I commit to just running that closed one into that, which when doing fades lately, I like to do my second guideline with a closed number 1 guard. However, with this particular cut, I went ahead and did the open one, knowing that I could close the one after that, and that's what I'm doing now. Just kind of working around that line with that closed number 1, kind of moving it up because I want to stretch this out a little bit, and I want to stretch it out kind of going in that angle towards that mohawk or faux hawk look. Once we get that cleaned up, we'll go ahead and put on the half guard and start tapping at that second guideline that we created a moment ago. Now, as you can see, just being careful, wanting to figure out how I want this length to be, so I don't want to jump in too harsh, but I do want to make it tighter and stretch it out. And what I've found with really thick, coarse hair like his and really dark, sometimes I can get away with, like, if I leave, say, a number 1 guard or a 1-in-1 open, it'll actually be a little bit darker than I want, and you can see more patches if their hair's a little patchier. So sometimes if I, just tighten that guard up and stretch it out, for me, it gives it more of a consistent blend. And then it helps me see those dark areas that I can come back in later with my shear over comb when I'm doing my detail work. And obviously, as you know, if you watch my videos, I like to lay a foundation, and it doesn't have to look perfect. Just get the foundation laid, and then I'll come back in and do detail work. Some people like to do everything all at once. I like to go ahead and just kind of lay the foundation, get through it, and then come back later in detail. So there again, I put the half guard on, started working at that line, took the half guard off, went back to the open blade, and was just trying to tie all that together. Now I'm just taking the corner of my trimmer, flicking at that bottom line or any little dark spots that I see to make sure we blend this thing together. The next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to, after putting this line up on there, this is my man Manny, God Bless My Hands. If you're not following him on Instagram, which is God Bless My Hands TV, or on YouTube, God Bless My Hands, you're missing out. We're so blessed to have him in the shop. He's an OG in the game as well, and we just love him and appreciate him. But so once again, kind of touching things up, but I'm going to go in now with the 1.5 guard closed and just fade into that number 2 that we established at the very beginning. Once again, knowing that I'm trying to take this shape more, if you're looking at the front, I want to keep it a wider mohawk. However, I do want to kind of give it like a shape. If you were looking from the front, like I wanted to kind of go in kind of like a faded mohawk, like a faux hawk or whatever. So once we laid a foundation, I went ahead and just lined up the back. One of the things that I like to do when doing, whether it be a blowout or something like this where there's a little more length around the edge area, I like to do a little trimmer over comb and kind of hold the comb in an angle that gives me the shape that I want. And then I come in and it just makes that hair shorter on the edge so I can get a nice crispier line. And in the back, we're doing more of a square shape, but I wanted to round the corners a little bit. So that's what we did. Now, what you do to one side, you do to the other. And if I know I'm going to put any kind of part or design in the haircut, I don't even bother, getting it as clean as I would like to. I just kind of move quick, honestly. And that's why it looks as patchy as it does right now, just so I can see where I'm going to put the part at. And he wanted a part coming off that top corner and just curving around towards his ear. So we're going to go ahead and just lightly, get our shape on that, and then we'll come back and clean it up a little bit better, holding the trimmers, at different angles just to try to clean up those lines, and then I'll hit it with the razor a little later to make it really sharp. So after I do this, then I come back in and I just clean that fade up a little bit better. As you can see from this angle, it's still really choppy looking, but we're still working on this line. And like I said, I'll come back after hitting that line up and I'll clean it up a little bit better, and then I'll do my detail work at the end. Some people might think it's crazy, man. Like, why don't you just do it all in one step? I don't know. I like to just hurry up and lay a foundation and just get the basic shape and idea of the haircut, and then I come back in later and fade that up. So now I brush down some of the hairs up front. It is a little thinner towards his front edge there, so I try to comb some of those hairs down to give them a nice crispier lineup. And then I'll throw in some color enhancement just to darken up that light spot towards the front, making it darker and crispier looking. And I'll do the same here on the front edges on the vertical bars. Now, sometimes I might get a little overspray, or I'll see once those hairs get a little wet from the color, they might push down a little bit, and I'll come in with my trimmer and actually clean up that color and those loose hairs. And then while it's still kind of wet, I like to come in, if I have any overspray at all, I'll come in and hit it while that color's still a little damp with the razor. And then while I have my razor in hand, I'll just go ahead and clean up the part as well. I just try to take my time, because when you're doing these parts and lines, man, you want them to be as clean as possible. So I just really take my time trying to hit that. So we're gonna trim up his mustache. I'm not gonna knock any length off the beard or show you about trimming up the mustache, but I get several people that ask me, how do I fade beards? So I started off with the number 1, being his beard is already like a 1.5 to a 2. So I started off at number 1, a little bit lower than the ear, just fading up, closing it, and then I put on the half guard open, and I fade up a little bit more, and then I close it, fade up a little bit more, and then take that off and open it, open the blade. And I just keep working my way up closer and closer to that guideline to fade it out with it all the way closed. Simple process. Then we come in and put the line up on it. And some people like the beard fade stretched a little bit more or lower or whatever, and that's just consulting with your client to see where they want it, how they want it to look, and all that good stuff. Sometimes, man, I try to make that fade really stretched. Here, I didn't do it as much. Just wanted to make sure that it faded into the bald. Usually I like to just hit that top line with a straight razor instead of using trimmers, because then it's almost like doing double work. But I'm loving these trimmers so much, honestly. Any little chance I get to use them, I'm taking advantage of it. I just like using them, man. So I'm hitting the line there first, and then I'll come back in with the razor and just clean that up. I want to give a shout out to JRL for sending me these trimmers, man. They hit me up and said they wanted me to try them out, maybe do a review on them. So they blessed me with them, and actually I believe they sent the clippers out yesterday, so I should be getting them sometime soon. And I'm gonna do some reviews on the clippers and the trimmers, just to give you my thoughts on them. I got to try the the clippers the other day just for like 2 minutes, and just for the 2 minutes that I used them, man, I was kind of impressed. So now that we have the beard cleaned up and we have a good foundation laid all around the head, I'm going to come in and go ahead and style it. And now the cut is not done. I still have to do my detail work, but I threw a little hairspray in his hair, and then just went ahead and hit him with the curl sponge to get them curls popping real nice. And now what I like to do is just freehand the shape there again, because the reason I like to curl it up is because then it pushes out any hairs on the side that may have not been cut. And I like to just go ahead and freehand and make sure that just looks smooth going into the top. So when he styles it on his own, there ain't a bunch of hairs sticking out. Now there again, I told you we had a rough draft of the side. Now I come in and I just do detail work. I'm just using the corners to tap out any dark spots, and then I'll use my trimmer or my shear over comb technique that I'm doing on both sides, just to get the blurriest cut possible. And as you can see, I'm just combing, looking for dark spots, and I just come in with the tip of my shears, and that's what I do, man. That's what I do on every haircut for the most part. I love to use my shear over comb technique just to do detail work. Once I've done all that, I like to clean up the neck and make sure I hit them with that cherry almond alcohol, get them stinging just right, smelling just right, and that's it, guys. That's the finished cut. My man's happy. So if you're not following me on Instagram, please do that at S.Craft_blends. Also, man, if you're enjoying this content, make sure you subscribe, like, comment. Until next time, God bless you guys. Peace.